Shadow of Mordor is proof that games don't have to be entirely original to be great. It's a game set in the world of Lord of the Rings, its combat mechanics, stealth and upgrade systems are pretty much lifted straight out of the recent Batman games, and the platforming and mission structure are streamlined versions of those you see in Assassin's Creed. But it manages to add its own spin on these conventions and add some of its own to justify itself not only as a valid game, but a great one at that. In Shadow of Mordor, you play Talion, a ranger guarding the Black Gate during the period between The Hobbit and the Fellowship of the Ring, where Sauron has begun gathering his armies. Shortly after being introduced, Talion is ritually sacrificed by the Black Hand, Sauron's highest ranking lieutenant. Because of the way he was killed, Talion is banished from death, and his soul is tied to a mysterious elven wraith who has ties to Sauron that are gradually revealed over the course of the game. The story isn't exactly insightful in terms of lore, and its final act is over way too quickly compared to the rest of the game's pacing, but it makes sense and uses enough elements of Middle-earth, including Gollum and Saruman, to be engaging enough to be your motivation over the 15 to 20 hours it'll take to finish the main story. The way Mordor is presented is also interesting, giving an insight into a pre-Sauron Mordor that's surprisingly beautiful, with a generous and appreciated amount of green showing up during the game's second act. The world of Mordor is brought to life more by its characters than its visuals, specifically the Uruk army that populates the region. These minions of the Dark Lord will constantly be at odds with not only you, but each other, as they are able to boost their status by taking on captains of higher ranks in power struggles. This means that the enemy army is constantly shifting, allowing an insignificant grunt that got lucky and managed to kill you ending up as one of the 5 war chiefs who lead the horde. This is one of Mordor's greatest selling points, as it is not only interesting to watch, but also becomes fun to play with later on in the story when you're able to take control of the captains and command them to do your bidding. Every Uruk captain is also personalised by a randomly selected name, my favourite being Ushbaka Giggles, and a set of strengths and weaknesses that you can manipulate to achieve success, making almost every encounter feel unique. The fights with each captain are also given a bit of flair with a personalised introduction before each battle begins, with you and the captain clashing swords and exchanging threats, or if you've encountered them before and either fled or been defeated by them, they'll mention it, sometimes even having scars that you've given them. Gameplay wise, Shadow of Mordor takes elements of the recent Batman games and Assassin's Creed and adds tension by making it a lot easier to be overwhelmed by enemies. There are encounters early on in the game when it becomes obvious that you won't be able to take on large groups of enemies without upgrading your skills first, and you'll have no choice but to run. And by the end of the game you're almost overpowered, but you're still able to get your ass handed to you if you're not careful. Middle-earth Shadow of Mordor is a game that builds on tried and tested conventions to bring something new to the table, and is one of the best surprises in gaming this year. Whether you're a Tolkien fan or a fan of open world games, it's definitely a must buy.